You don't know? Say something to Pyretta.
No.
Interview the cat.
No.
Okay. Well, you guys have a good time over there, and Daddy's going to do some work, all right? Okay. You're so good. Such a good girl. All right. So there you have it. It's, yeah, go ahead and check out all of our friends and affiliates on quitefrankly.tv. So let's start off with some things tonight. What's on the top of the menu? We're going into the grab bag. And the first one up is from The Blaze. Now, this is a great story. I love it because it's short, it's sweet, and there's nothing really else to say. Mads Mikkelsen, that's the guy who plays, I believe, Le Chiffre in 007, the Casino Royale, one of my faves. Mads Mikkelsen and Danish director deliver perfect response to concern mongering about lack of diversity in a new film that's about an 18th century Nordic soldier. Filmmakers behind a new period drama set in Denmark around the 1750s were recently confronted over their film's apparent lack of diversity. After all, now is the time when Oscar nominations hinge upon whether a given production checks various boxes pertaining to the sex, sexual preference, and race of those involved. When Snow White of Germanic folklore is Colombian and the Grecian Cleopatra of historical record is now black. I know. Rather than apologizing for having prioritized the integrity of their art over identity politics, actor Mads Mikkelsen and Danish director Nikolaj Arcel laughed off the accusation and pointed out the critical fact worth considering. Mikkelsen and Arcel recently attended the Venice Film Festival on August 31st, world premiere of the new period drama called The Promised Land, based on the book The Captain and Anne Barbara by Ida Jessen. The Promised Land, alternatively titled Bastarden in Danish, reportedly presents a faithful depiction of the 18th century life in the inhospitable heath of Jutland, and the true story of the bankrupt former Danish soldier, Captain Ludwig von Kellen, and his endeavor to secure the royal title denied him by birth, reported by The Hollywood Reporter. Well, obviously, this should have gone to a black disabled trans person. But let's just see what these racists had to say for themselves. While the actor and director fielded questions from the press, a Danish reporter confronted the duo with what woke Hollywood gatekeepers and the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences might regard as a damning failing of their film, which has otherwise been met with rave reviews. Reporter noted that the film was a Danish production, which is entirely Nordic, therefore has lack of diversity, you would say. Mikkelsen began laughing and right away responded, "What are you on to?" from the get-go. So there you have it. There are some rules across the Atlantic for competing in the Best Picture, the equivalent of this competition, continued the reporter. I see you don't live up to these standards. It's not because of artistic reasons, but because of lack of diversity that this can't compete in that competition. The reporter was referencing to the representation and inclusion standards for Oscar eligibility. Oh man, goodbye. Who the hell even wants to be eligible for that crap? Can you actually ever create art? Is it possible to have that kind of pretense? And I mean, oh God, good for them. Good for them. I don't even know the story, but now I want to watch it. Now I want to watch it just because I can respect somebody that is faithful to good storytelling that doesn't bend the knee to one crazy group or the other. Anyway, if you were thinking though that cinema is dead and dying, well, it ain't dead yet, because you're about to meet the man who's keeping it alive single-handed. This is from UPI.com. This dude, a Pennsylvania man, goes to 777 movies in a single year. A Pennsylvania man earned a Guinness World Record by going to the movies 777 times in 1 year period. Zach Swope, 32 years old, of Carlisle, started his attempt with a screening of Minions: Rise of Gru in July of 2022 and completed his record attempt of showing of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny 1 year later. Swope broke the record of 715 movies seen in 1 year by French cinephile Vincent Crone in 2018. Swope said that he saved on movie tickets to his local Regal cinemas by signing up for Regal Unlimited membership, which allowed him to have unlimited trips to the movies for $22 a month. Okay, well, that answers the first burning question I have. The first burning question. The other burning question is, what do you have a life? What do you do for a living? Do you work? What is your life like? I mean, this takes obviously 777 times in 1 year, no matter how short the films are. That is such a considerable amount of time inside that building, or any building. Regal employees monitored Swope during his screenings to make sure that he was following the rules. They probably were also monitoring his vital signs, too, to make sure he was alive. Following the rules set forth by Guinness World Records, which included not taking bathroom breaks or having any snacks or beverages during the films. What? Now, I can understand for a competition standpoint, not taking a bathroom break. You have to be in there for the entire film. Okay, I get it. There must have been a couple of really close calls in there, 777 times. Especially if you have a movie that is close to 3 hours. But why can't you have a snack or a beverage? Especially if you're buying it before the curtain goes up. If any of these theaters actually still have curtains. The movie fan said he would see up to 3 movies after work on weekdays and squeeze in more during the weekends. Ugh, definitely doesn't have a wife. Swope said that the movie he saw the most times was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, with 47 viewings of Puss in Boots. So there are more than a few red flags going on over here, I'd have to say. But he could perhaps be a very, very pleasant guy, but there's also some things that are cause for concern. His favorite film of the year, Across the Spider-Verse, and his least favorite was The Devil Conspiracy. He said the record attempt, because the demon that's occupying him didn't like it. Didn't like the exposure. He said the record attempt was aimed at raising awareness for the mental health issues. I would develop a mental health issue if I left work every night and saw 3 films in a movie theater every night and then more on the weekend. I mean, that is the isolation, especially since you're not seeing it. It's one thing if you go to like Alamo Drafthouse or any kind of a movie house like Alamo where they're going to put films that are out right then and there on the schedule, but in between and on weekends they're doing classic films, you know, Universal Studios classics, Boris Karloff, whatever, you know, Monster Squad, things like that. Goonies, they just bring it back, they dust it off, they dust off the old reels, and everybody's having a good time. But you're watching Puss in Boots 47 times? Whatever the hell that is. That's a spin-off of the Shrek. It's not the one with Christopher Walken. Didn't Christopher Walken do a Puss in Boots years and years ago? I remember seeing that as a child. Now I know that Puss in Boots is a Shrek-related thing. But that's just... Regal Cinemas celebrated his success with a $7,777.77 donation to the American Federation for Suicide Prevention. And I have to imagine... Oh, man. I don't know. There's just... well, at least something good came out of it. Something good came out of it. Excuse me. Can I help you? Come over here. You see? Come on, here, walk over. Take a peek. That's your cheek. That's right. Okay. So that's the end of this guy. Are you going to go see a movie this weekend? I don't know. Aurora's been watching Bug's Life recently. She calls it actually she'll probably recognize my intro. Aurora doesn't get to hear my intro just yet because at 7 o'clock she's usually sleeping. But here is a little something for you. Elon Musk committed evil with Starlink order, says Ukrainian official. Oh, this had better be good. A senior Ukrainian official, if that's even a thing, it's probably just an intern at the CIA, Victoria Nuland's nephew, something. A senior Ukrainian official has accused Elon Musk of committing evil after a new biography revealed details about how the business magnate ordered his Starlink satellite communications network to be turned off near the Crimean coast last year to hobble the Ukrainian drone attack on Russian warships. Oh well, fight your own damn war. In a statement on X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, which Musk owns, the Ukrainian presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak wrote that Musk's interference led to the deaths of civilians. Oh my God, you've been killing civilians far before February 2022, my friend. So no reason to cry over that now. You have no problem with killing civilians. Can't stand listening to any of this anymore. And I just want to know what the end game is. I just want to see it. I got a lot here. In the second half, don't miss it. I have responses to the Jeff Harmon interview, another comment on the astro charts and things that he did about what's coming in not only September of 23, but spring of 24. By not allowing Ukrainian drones to destroy part of the Russian fleet via Starlink interference, Elon Musk allowed this fleet to fire caliber missiles at Ukrainian cities. As a result, civilians and children are being killed. Well, I really, obviously that kind of a press release is meant to put you in a position where, what are you going to do? Root against the livelihood of children? How much is he telling the truth about? I don't know. They have put plenty of civilians intentionally in danger. It's part of the reason why this has lasted so long. But Ukraine is not a nation. It's just a lot of illegitimate things. It's a lot of illegitimate things. But at this point, it's nothing more than a Salvation Army Santa Claus begging on the street corners for money. That's what Ukraine as a organized nation is. I'm always trying to separate over and over again that distinction from, everyday people, their families, and real culture over there. But this is, I don't care. And soon it might be everybody's problem to such a larger degree that it's going to be survival just for all of us. I'm still not convinced that this is going to just disperse and dissolve itself without something horrible happening. I'm not convinced. And I'm not a doomer. I find silver linings and everything. I want to find a punchline in everything. Anything to just kind of keep our heads nice and easy and steady. But this doesn't feel right. A lot of things don't feel right now. And that's after a lot of years of saying, oh, that sucks. So they'll listen to this headline. We talk about bad things every night. But as far as optimism and going forward, you have to be able to balance this stuff out. The balance is becoming harder to find. It's more so just hunkered down time in my mind. All right, here's one thing I want to ask you guys before we go to our break and start this show off. It's 2:12 over here on my clock. Here is one of the questions I'm going to ask you. And this is about relationships. Also from The Guardian. Opposites don't attract. Couples more likely to be similar than different, study shows. See, this is something that I always thought. I never thought this to be true either, about opposites attracting. I've repeated the phrase plenty of times, but whenever I think about it, how is it really possible? Outside of a no strings attached hookup or something like that. So there's a question for you to write down. The power of animal magnetism has brought countless couples together, but when it comes to who we fall for, scientists say that there is little truth in the old adage that opposites attract. The study on romantic relationships found that for more than 80% of traits analyzed, from political views to drug taking and the age at which people first had sex, partners were often remarkably similar. Tanya Horowitz, a PhD student at the University of Colorado Boulder, U.S., and the first author of the study, published in the journal Nature Human Behavior, said birds of a feather are indeed more likely to flock together. According to the research, between 82 and 89% of traits examined were similar among partners, with only 3% ranking as substantially different. For the study, scientists reviewed previous research on how similar or dissimilar couples tended to be. Work that covered 22 traits across nearly 200 papers involving millions of female-to-male partnerships dating back to 1903. The group then followed up on the fresh analysis of 133 traits and nearly 80,000 opposite-sex couples enrolled on the UK Biobank project, because the behavior many differ for same-sex couples. The behavior may differ. Yeah, well, the scientists are investigating these relationships separately. Oh, I'm sure they are. In both pieces of work, couples largely matched across a range of traits, including political and religious views, levels of education, and some measures of IQ. Heavy smokers, heavy drinkers, and teetotalers are all tended to partner up with people who share the same habits, but couples did not match on every front. Height, weight, medical problems, and personality traits all varied among couples. Extroverts, for example, were no more likely to partner up with other extroverts than introverts. The fact of the matter is that it's like flipping a coin. I wonder if they talk about race. Because, birds of a feather tend to flock together too when it comes to race, when it comes to the composition of neighborhoods. People just tend to flock together. Now, of course, it's celebrated as an expression of amazing culture when it's non-white groups that flock together, and it's exclusionary and supremacist based when it's white people that just tend to draw toward each other in groups, and it has no prejudices in mind. It's just natural. This is stuff we do too. So I wonder if they go and they dip into race as well, because they do not mention it in this article. So, but I'd like to get you guys and gals, if some of you want to comment on that, what do you think about that as well? Because I never thought that opposites attract either. It's one thing to have an anger bang with someone that just, that you're not similar on any other reason. You don't vibe on any reason aside from, oh, they have a pretty nice body, and I think they like my body as well. That has happened, right? I can see that happening a lot. But as far as something that lasts, there's no way in hell that can work. Not if you want to be happy. Now, if there is somebody out there, an exception to that rule, I want to hear all about it. And I want to know how you survive. All right, that's it for me. We're going to get this one kicked off. We have plenty more in the grab bag over here, so don't go anywhere. And listen, I know it's in the middle of the day. It's Friday. It's in the middle of a work day. There's a fraction of people watching than they usually do. This is going to be all caught up on demand and whatnot. In fact, maybe I'll download this and I'll re-air it tonight at 7 o'clock on the YouTube and places like that, so the normal crowd can all hang out together. But still, if you have any spare time, and I mean a nanosecond, to click share, to click like, to get it out there to anybody else who doesn't know that we're live. Because no matter how much I announce something like this, no matter how far out I announce it, most people just don't hear it somehow. But give me a hand, and we will be right back.
And Harry, Jimmy, Trent, wherever you are out there, fuck you too.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's
Hot town, summer in the city, back of my neck getting
It is hot. 3 days in a row. Hot, hot, hot. In September. So we're just going to enjoy the heat here in the air-conditioned room for a little bit. One day I'll tell you what's going on behind the scenes of this day. Weeks down the line, I'll tell you what's happening to me today, to all of us, why we're all kind of all over the place and a little displaced right now. Aurora with me. Well, she's in the other room, so now we can talk about other things and not have it be like little ears. Welcome to the show. Friday, September 8th. I hope that the week has treated you well, and we're going to try to put a nice little bow on it right now. Whoever is watching, this is almost like like an exclusive for you. A very exclusive audience, intimate. I feel like we're playing a small little lounge tonight, a live lounge gig instead of the usual theater. I wouldn't call this an arena rock show just yet. One day we will pack the arenas, I promise you that. And then beyond that, will we ever get a stadium show? I think so. I have faith. I have faith in what we do here. But for right now, I am fine with this being a theater packer. Now, we pack the theater every night, don't we? Nice. Little theater tour. But tonight, it's a lounge in comparison to what we usually do. So I hope that a lot of new people call in, because what I'm about to deliver to you is a number of topics for comment. And we're going to jump all over the place. And in the second half, it's going to be more of your emails, your thoughts, theories, and then more calls again. And since, like I said, it's a different kind of audience, there are people that are allowed to watch now in different time zones that are usually sleeping when we're on. I really hope that we get some more involvement. And the number to call, put it down on a Post-it paper in front of you, 914-200-0269. So get ready. Warm them up. Take some notes, know what you want to say, and it'll be a good time indeed. The first one up, this is a sad story, but it also begs a bigger question about these one-chip challenge tortilla chips. There was a 14-year-old boy who died supposedly from the viral TikTok one-chip challenge. Now, it's horrible to hear that a boy this age is dead. We hear a lot about it these days for a number of suspicious reasons. My suspicion is not satisfied with this either. Now, I know that anything hot to this degree can be a problem for people if they take it under certain situations or if they have stomach ulcer issue. Oh, I don't know what, but let's read together. A 14-year-old boy died after participating in a TikTok challenge referred to as the One Chip Challenge. Harrison Wolaba, 14 of Worcester, Massachusetts, died on Friday. His family said his death was a result of complications from an extremely spicy chip that he ate from a challenge that he saw on a social media site, TikTok. NBC reported a 14-year-old student from Worcester, Massachusetts, died on Friday, officials said, and his family said his death was caused by complications of this chip. His mother confirmed to NBC 10 Boston that the family believes the teenager died of complications from the One Chip Challenge, though the results of the autopsy were pending. Okay, so, hold out judgment just yet, because I don't know how. I know these things are bad, but deadly, I don't know. The Worcester school community was mourning Harris, a sophomore at Doherty Memorial High School. Worcester Public School System Superintendent Rachel Manarez said in a statement on Sunday, calling him a rising star. The cause of death has not been confirmed, but the One Chip Challenge is a social media challenge that involves eating purportedly the spiciest tortilla chip in the world, then waiting as long as possible before eating or drinking something for relief. The chip, made by Paqui, comes in a coffin container, and has a warning that says it should be kept away from children. It is only for adults to eat and shouldn't be eaten by anyone who is sensitive to spicy food or with an allergen or some allergy. Now, I went and I looked I know about these, but I didn't know where you can find one. So I went on Amazon, and this is what I found. It comes in a coffin container. This container has one chip in it. This one is going for $45 because I guess it's just a novelty. Oh, wait, this is a pack of 3? what does it say? Anyway, oh, maybe it just sends 3 coffins. So it's a novelty, but it's a big one. Carolina Reaper Madness 2022 one-chip challenge tortilla chip includes Munchie box sticker. Now, here are some of the... First of all, has anyone ever had this chip? That's number one. You got to call in on that. You know what we'll do? I guess you just call in on that. I want to know if you had this chip. You can also super chat me if you're not getting through or anything like that. I want to know if you had it. But here are some of the comments. I want to go into the comment section here. The world's hottest chip made with the hottest chili pepper on the planet, the Carolina Reaper. Don't say we didn't warn you. This is the 2022 version of the One Chip Challenge. In a world filled with flamin' hot options packed with artificial ingredients, we dare to be different. We believe that the real heat comes from the real peppers and shouldn't be grown in a lab. So they're saying that this is all natural stuff and oils extracted from the peppers, and it's not just chemicals. Here are some of the comments. Some of the reviews. Let's see here. Stay calm, this one Ashley Nicole said. If Satan was edible, he would be in the form of this chip. You can't escape the heat. No amount of ice, milk, water, or prayers will save you from the heat. The burn lasted a good 2 hours. Maybe I'm weak sauce, but this chip is a heavy hitter. Staying calm was the only thing that helped relieve and ease the pain. Lucky Strike says, did it once and now we are done with it. 3 family members wanted to try these. 1 spit it out, 2 swallowed. Not recommended. None of them put more than half a chip in their mouths. They tried multiple ways to stop the mouth and throat after the burn. Went as expected. It was fun to hear all of their boasting. Then witness the event. They said the taste is horrible. The biggest issue was the afterburn and stomach burn for about 30 minutes or so. Here's another one. Lewis says, crazy hot. Had me crying, but I love it. Listen, I like hot stuff, but I don't know. Joshua Tree says, tastes like pain. There is no flavor. It's crunchy pain. Oh, that's something. It's crunchy pain. Milk, water, whatever, only helps when it's in your mouth. I drank so much water I thought I was going to puke and pee my pants at the same time. There is no escape. Do it, I dare you. I mean, there's more. Please use caution with these chips. They are extremely dangerous if taken whole. We used them as a dirty Santa gift for Christmas, and although it was intended just to be a gag gift, it made my brother-in-law very sick. And he had a hard time breathing for hours. And now, see, I've seen that. Before this chip existed, I have seen plenty of Carolina Reaper pepper and other peppers, ghost peppers, whatever it is. I've seen other of those, more of those challenges, and not even social media challenges, where like the modern social media challenges. I mean, years ago, maybe over 10 years now. I mean, the challenges were still going on back then. But, you know, you would have some guys or some girls, high school, usually they're always younger, and they want to film something for YouTube, and they'll just bite into the pepper, swallow it, and then you have a couple minutes later, they can't open their eyes. They're having trouble breathing. They're throwing up. One of them went to the hospital because I remember the follow-up video was them in their hospital bed and all that. So this was years ago. This girl was messed up. It wasn't acting. And, of course, it all made for a video that I'm sure a lot of people have seen at this point, but was it worth it, really? I don't know. So that's what I want to bring up. There's another question for you. Have you had this chip, or do you have any other hot pepper survival stories or anything, any kind of a story that has to do with the hottest peppers you ever had in your life and what went wrong? That is another thing you can throw out there. Okay. Now, let me ask you another something. This has to do with the Tucker Carlson Obama gay crack smoking liaison story. What do you think is the point of the Obama expose, especially in 2023? I'm leaving an open mind for it. it's just a spectator sport. Most of it is in the media at this point. But with this in particular, I wonder, because it's something, obviously, that a real journalist would seize upon, an opportunity to talk about, because it's, it's an enormous story when you think about the person involved and whatever, but especially back when he's moving up in the ranks, that is when it was most important. He's moving up in the ranks, he's getting known and being nominated and all that stuff. You have a candidate of a major party who is the proverbial out of nowhere, which that nobody's out of nowhere, which is never really the case when it comes to government. But crack cocaine and gay escorts, which, is that even the case? Is that even the case? Because I've listened to Larry Sinclair's testimony over the years. He did one main story that many of you have seen years ago, and now what we're seeing right now. Let me go to Twitter and just get the preview video up. Out of the entire 40-minute interview that Tucker Carlson did with Larry Sinclair, I still don't understand the nature of what happened. Is this here? Listen.
In a bar outside, and there's this.
No, here we go. Here's the 1-minute preview from Tuesday night.
You're just a guy who's in town for the night, and it sounds like you're looking to party.
Yeah. Pulled up in a bar outside, and there's this guy that's introduced to me as Barack Obama. I had given Barack $250 to pay for coke. I start putting a line on a CD tray to snort, and next thing I know, he's...
So this is what I don't understand right there. If I'm Tucker Carlson, I say, okay, you're giving him $250 for coke? What was the nature of this liaison? He's in a limousine. The limousine driver brings him to Barack Obama. They get together. They're doing some uppers, and they start fooling around with each other. Then the limousine driver drops him back off at his motel first, so then Obama comes back to see him the next day at the motel. I don't hear anything about money exchanged. Obviously, they're exchanging drugs. They're messing around, but it seems like it's just Larry Sinclair servicing Obama. So did Obama set this up? Is Sinclair an escort? Why, if so, why is Sinclair buying Obama the coke? Like, I don't understand what's happening here. Is the limousine driver the head, the ringleader of all this stuff, and he just wants to see people get busy? Well, I don't know. Is he collecting blackmail? Is there footage from inside the limousine? It makes no sense to me. That whole thing. It sounds like a prostitution story, but it doesn't go there.
He's got a little pipe and he's smoking. So I just started rubbing my hand along his thigh to see where it was going, and it went the direction I had intended it to go.
Even though you had sex with him twice, you did cocaine with him, watched him smoke crack twice, you had no idea who he was.
I had no idea who he was.
You just asked the obvious question, what was Obama like on crack? Is it your sense that that's who Obama is, just transactional, or that he's bisexual, or like what is this?
It definitely wasn't Barack's first time, and I would almost be willing to bet you it wasn't his last.
The guy's running for president, and credible information comes out that he's smoking crack and having sex with dudes. That seems like a story.
Well, it would be a story if the media really cared about telling people the truth.
Hot, right? Yeah, I don't, so, makes a lot of sense. Overall, I just don't understand him. And that would have been a pretty obvious question to ask if you ask me. But, I don't get these interviews. Maybe one day. But, you have this situation brewing. My question is, especially with how they destroyed, it's crazy to see all of the reaction to it. A lot of it is very typical, especially from lefties. Exactly what you would expect. Very First of all, denials. No, stop. He's a felon. He's a fraudster. It's nothing. And then of course they'll say that, but if Obama was gay, then it'd make him even more likable. Which, yeah, well, that's one thing that we would expect out of you guys. But we're talking about crack cocaine. So I understand for you freaks that drug preferences and orgasms would be something that would elevate somebody's level of nobility in your eyes for some reason. But especially when you think about how these types of stories, even lesser stories about sexual misconduct, took out people like Herman Cain. You know, that ended his 2012 candidacy. And he actually had a couple of good ideas. You know, he would have been running against Barack Obama, and unlike Obama, Herman Cain is actually, you know, full black American. You know, Herman Cain would have been the first black president. But those stories actually led him, Cain, they followed him to like 2017, whatever it was, because I remember Trump had nominated him or wanted him to be a candidate for the Federal Reserve Board. And he ended up withdrawing his name because he just couldn't shake all that nonsense. And meanwhile, while all this stuff is going on, while they try to dig into people's personal lives and make them out to being some kind of immoral, untrustworthy mess, even though these people are the most obscene creatures you ever seen in your life, the entire time Barack Obama is smoking crack and getting blown by dudes in limos, and that is buried across the board, and even Republicans dare not touch it. So, I mean, they went after Melania Trump for posing nude, Trump for having affairs in his past, bunch of baby killers moralizing ad nauseum, using the Obamas as the quintessential example of class. Okay? That's the whole point here. And then some crack smoking gay prostitute bubbles back to the surface, and we get weak denials like this. Ed Krasenstein, I hate this guy. Barack Obama likely isn't gay, but if he was, that would probably make him even more likable. Nothing makes a person more likable than their ability to just get wild with someone of the same sex. You know, it's just how can you not like them more? How could you not like a person more? Like, it's incredible. The thinking is incredible. Here's that other that ineffectual midget from Brooklyn who calls himself Brooklyn Dad. Tucker Carlson apparently is pushing a bogus conspiracy theory that President Obama is secretly gay. They always leave out the crack. Not only is it total bullshit, but I think if it was true, we would just love him even more. I know I would. So then why are you denying him that promotion in social status? Don't deny him. Don't deny Barack Obama that promotion, as if we couldn't elevate him any more up the social ladder. They should be trying to find ways of proving it true. If this is true, if that is the only formula that exists right now for Barack Obama to be raised even more in the minds and the hearts of these idiots out there, then they should be pounding the pavement, wanting to be... No. Anyway, but putting that aside, that tired proposition that leftist cheerleader dopes have no real principles or standards aside, putting that all aside, I want to ask the question, why now? Not just because it's not just the Tucker Carlson interview. A couple of weeks before that, it was the Obama biographer publishing some so-called authoritative biography on Barack Obama and diary entries about fantasizing about men constantly and there being issues with the marriage to Michelle. Why now? Because we know why not in 2008. In 2008, it would have been detrimental. Is this a setup for a bigger string of stories and revelations? Does it have something to do with the naked chef that they found dead in 7 feet of water in Martha's Vineyard, even though he knew how to swim? Or is it something even bigger? I don't know. So that's another question I have to ask you about. Why that? Do you have any hot pepper stories? Do opposites attract? Oh, we have so much. So much for you tonight on this show. But first, speaking of modern romances, I want to do a little bit of a... Hold on. You know what we'll do? Here's what we'll do. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, I'm going to do a follow-up on Modern Romance from the Mount Airy Lodge standpoint, because we got an update on that. I told you that my cousin Sherry watched the show last Friday, and she wrote me the next day to tell me that she had visited the lodge finally with a friend to see what the hell it was all about, and she wrote a blog post about her stay there. So I can't wait to dive into this. I only read the first paragraph. I said I'm saving this for the audience. So we'll be right back. I hope you've been writing down all the topics, because there are many and more coming. I'm just going to overpower you guys tonight. All right, BRB.
As you can see, Whoopi is not here. She has COVID. Yes, it's back. It's back.
It's back.
But she's on the mend. She's on the tail end, and she'll probably be back this week. But sorry she's not here. For those of you who are looking forward to seeing her.
Yeah.
Yes, it's back. It's back.
It's back.
No one cares. Literally, no one cares.
Here's the Independent. The future of the Earth. Is this the end of the world? Earthquakes, hurricanes, floods. What is happening to our planet? Is this the end of the world? No. We live on an active planet. Earthquakes are continuous, 1.5 million a year, or 3 every minute. A Richter 5 every 6 hours. A major quake every 3 weeks. This is all the earthquakes in California in the last week. There's a quake the size of Pakistan every 8 months. This is Kobe in Japan. Despite building codes, the buildings just topple. Very good building codes. At any moment on our planet, there are 11 lightning strikes every second. There are 1,500 electrical storms on the planet at any moment. A tornado touches down every 6 hours. A tidal wave crosses the Pacific every 3 months. There are 90 hurricanes a year, 1 every 4 days. It's constant. Is this the end of the world? No, this is the world. And I think it's time we knew it.
I love QFTV.
You're cool.
What's up? I love QFTV.
Yep, you're cool.
What's QFTV?
Did you say what's QFTV? Miss, you're gonna need to go over there and watch QFTV Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, right after Quite Frankly. Oh, you're definitely cool. Only on QuiteFrankly.tv, powered by Foxhole.
Give me back my son! Let's go, Tiger!
Okay, we're back. We're back. Now, if we push buttons, something might go wrong, because right now I'm broadcasting to so many people, and if we push buttons, the wrong one, it'll go.
What I do is that?
Yeah, you can push that one because it doesn't work anymore. I have to reinstall it. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do this one.
And you do that one too.
And this one.
And that one.
This one.
Yeah.
And this one.
Touch them all quick. Ready? And go. Quick. 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 Okay, thank you. You want to sing everybody real quick before you go? Sing everybody, You Are My Sunshine.
No.
Sing Happy Birthday.
No.
Why not? Sing Happy Birthday.
No.
I said sing Happy Birthday.
No.
Why?
Because of dough.
Because of dough? Okay, well, you have to sing or dance on a show like this, or else you're not going to entertain anybody. Say happy birthday to you. Happy birth. You don't care, do you? It's your birthday next week.
Yeah.
How old are you going to be? Quick, before you leave.
3.
You can be 3?
Yep.
Oh, well, there you go. You got 3 fingers up, too, at the end. That's a good thing. All right, go hang out with Mimi. All right. a little bit of a different show today. Man, she's sweaty. Making me hot. Thank God the AC is on over here. Rory, whatever you do, stay in here and get cool. Out there, there's no AC out there, so stay in here. All right. So, here's what we got. I have, speaking of modern romance, as I said before, I have a Mount Airy Lodge update. An update here. I was saying that my cousin Sherry stayed at Mount Airy Lodge. We were making fun of it before. Listen to this. Sherry said, when I was a kid and I saw that familiar commercial, the commercial we played last week, I was very puzzled as to what kind of establishment this was. What was this magical adult playground? Did weather and seasons not apply in this mysterious Poconos? Could you really ride horseback and bikes and swim outdoors and also ski at the same time? In 2016, Groupon sent me an offer I couldn't refuse. Dave, her husband, did not see the charm of the Love Lodge, so I asked my best friend Laura to accompany me on this romantic adventure for two. But just how bad could this place be? Our suite was in one of 5 quote-unquote round buildings. If you looked at the building from above, each room was shaped like a slice of pizza, with a pool in the center. This is how they are able to give each guest a private indoor swimming pool in their suite. We opted for the heart-shaped hot tub because, frankly, the champagne tubs looked dangerous. Now, when I heard about the champagne tubs, I thought that it was maybe a tub that was shaped two-dimensionally. Well, not two-dimensionally, but on the floor in the footprint of what would look like a champagne glass or something. Apparently, these are actual tubs that are kept on a long stem, like a champagne glass. And I would never get into one of those. Or those things tip over. I don't know. Anyway, so they said they looked dangerous. The beds were round and lumpy with mattresses circa 1984. The color scheme can only be described as Valentine's Day. The wall-to-wall carpets had lost their elasticity and they were way too plush for a hotel room. I kept my shoes on the entire time. The smell was stale. These rooms had clearly seen an orgy or two. The whole place was a liminal space. That's exactly what I used to describe them. This is before I even read her thing. Thankfully, the overwhelming smell in the building was coming from the over-chlorinated pool. My eyes burned the whole stay. Although there hadn't been any director of events for a decade, they still had day activities posted on the premises. Needless to say, the activities were mostly canceled, as we were some of the only guests, or at least the only ones that ventured outside. There was one couple on their honeymoon that came from Western Pennsylvania. Oh, can you imagine going your honeymoon to Mount Airy Lodge? I guess you got to do what you got to do. Lauren and I kind of improvised our honeymoon. We kind of cobbled it together over the course of a year, and I still actually don't consider our honeymoon finished, because we didn't have a lot of time, we didn't have a lot of money, and I don't consider it finished. Lauren and I's. Yeah. Anyway, the front desk person was also the bartender. This once bustling, I guess, hookup empire, I guess everybody went there to have sex, was a shell of its former self. The front desk person was also the bartender, the master of ceremonies, the concierge, and would even fix your hot tub if it was clogged. Aiming to get our money's worth, we jumped from activity to activity like maniacs, playing basketball on the 4-person court, jumping over to archery where we shot at each other with arrows. Shot at each other. Next on to shuffleboard, which we had no idea how to play, so we made up our own rules. We played ping pong and bocce and conquered their short mini golf course, whose holes no longer had their gimmicks, forcing us to design our own course. After that, we consumed cheap champagne and went swimming in our bedroom. Not a trace of debauchery could be found in this ghost town. It felt abandoned. Thankfully, we took their advice and brought our love of everything with us, so we were able to appreciate it anyway. Wow. I think we have to watch the commercial one more time now. Let's do it. Here's Mount Airy Lodge commercial. We did it last Friday. Except your kids, we don't want them around, because this is for you know. You know what I mean.
For reservations, phone 1-800-441-4410.
Look, that person was doing like spins. I wonder if there's still an ice skating rink. I should have asked Sherry that. Do they still have the ice skating rink? Here's the snowmobile. Here comes the nose kiss. Oh, you know what I just noticed? Oh, I love that. I've been waiting all week to kiss that nose. But did you see at the end? I didn't even notice the girl gasping until now. Hold on. We have to get back to it. Come on. Can I go forward? We're going to have to watch it one more time. I can't fast forward. We have to look at her gasp. Here we go.
For reservations, phone 1-800-441-4410.
Kiss her. Do it. Oh, she I didn't even notice the gasp. Oh, man. She gasped when her nose was kissed. Boy, she's going to be really easy to please. Really easy. Anyway, let's go to some super chats and your calls. The number is 914-200-0269. One chip challenge. Is there any one chip challenge calls out there or extreme hot pepper stories? What is the purpose of the Obama expose in 2023? And is it true? Can true opposites really attract and form a lasting relationship? I know opposites can make a hell of an anger bang, but that's really it. Farther than that, oh, thank you so much. This is for my cup. It's a coaster. Thank you. See, I'll put my mug on there. So that's what we have, 914-200-0269. Let's go into the super chats. Shotzi says, have a great weekend. Hugs to Aurora. Thank you so much, Shotzi. Great to hear from you. Stickman says, good afternoon, Frank and Franklies. On the topic of opposite attraction, I was a little devilish when I met my wife, who was a total angel. I think she liked the bad boy, but over time I have grown and my bad habits subsided for the most part over the last 26 years. I hope that you've found some way to maintain bad boy status, though. You got to have a little bit of deviancy, or else. Well, then again, you know what? Maybe she digs the angel. That's good, though. 26 years. I think you guys are doing fine. Have a good time, and I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Katie Sky says maybe the reefer chips should come with instructions that say to suck on ice cubes for a couple of hours. What if someone dies from drinking too much milk or water? Well, you know, reefer. Oh, she said reaper chips. She had to come back. Yes, reaper chip. I'm going to say reefer chips. I'm sure those exist too, but I mean, I have never had one. You know, I wonder if there are any instructions. Some people said, hey, you make sure you have Pepto-Bismol beforehand. Some people, if they're going to eat something like this, they'll have a half a glass of milk beforehand to so-called coat the stomach. But, I mean, that is something else. I wonder if you should maybe at least not have an empty stomach. Can this cause ulcers or something like that? It makes a lot of things, I don't know. I would never try it. And I have tried a lot of spicy things. Maybe I would touch the tip of my tongue and just see how bad that is. But I don't think I would ever take a bite out of this thing. I want to lose 2 hours to that. For what? I believe you. It's hot. Let's take a call. Hello, Heather?
Hey.
What's going on there? Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Awesome. So I'm listening today in the afternoon.
It's great.
Yep. I love you. I love your show. I love your family. Been a long-time listener.
Oh, it's so happy to have you on, Heather. Well, now that you have access to the show, you are on the show. What do you think? I posed a couple of questions here today. Do you have anything for us?
Yeah. So on the Tucker, show, the guy, the escort, whatever you call him, prostitute, whatever.
Yeah.
he mentioned the choir director guy's name. I think his name is Gary something.
Young,
yes. And he talked to him, and he was the choir director in the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same church that Obama went to, Trinity Methodist in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
And he ended up executed in his apartment, and then shortly after, Obama left the church after that. And his mother said, I'm sure you were going to talk about this anyway, but and you were going to bring it up, but it's probably just something fishy going on, like everything else, like the death of the chef and stuff.
I have to imagine now that you bring it up. I think that we had brought up Mr. Young and the church and all that stuff on Taking It Back yesterday at 4:00. That makes no. Hey,
yeah, but I mean, something's going on there.
I'm glad you bring it up.
There's no doubt about that.
I'm glad you bring it up because it makes a lot more sense that this story could end up a little bit more in the neighborhood of murder or disappearances or something like that, rather than just some recreational drug use and some sexual vices or whatever. So it's that could be something, because like I said, way too late to bring any of that up. That should have been brought up in 2007. But thank you for the call, Heather.
Right. And I'm just hoping something comes about, and justice is done for all of this, including the murders.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's a hope that we can all have. That's a hope. You'd think that wouldn't be too much to ask for, justice for things like murder, but even murder is only we're only given that as far as it can be produced for the reality TV show that we're all stuck watching here. Because as far as justice that affects everybody, oh man, I saw Dick Cheney out there warning everybody again. That's getting around Twitter again. Dick Cheney in his cowboy hat and his face falling off of his skull, warning everybody about the danger that Donald Trump poses to democracy. This is a guy who has gotten so many people killed, so many innocent people killed. So you want to talk about justice? I think that. I don't know. I guess you have to pray for justice some other time. But let's take another call. 480, you're on the air. Who's this?
This is Abby from Arizona.
Hello, Abby from Arizona. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, you were talking about the hot pepper stories and the challenges.
Yes.
I kind of have a funny one. It's not for me, but my son called me while I was working years ago. He was in junior high, and he's like, Mom, oh, my God, you have to pick me up right now. And I was like, dude, I'm at work, seriously. Anyway, fast forward, he tells me, he says, well, I ate this hot pepper. He goes, and I'm dying. And I was like, oh, okay, but, dude, just drink some milk. So anyhow, he's like, no, you don't understand. I ate the pepper, no big deal. I went to the bathroom, and now I'm on fire.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's nothing.
So, I was like, oh. And he's like, I washed my hands. It won't, whatever. And he was like in severe pain anyhow. So I drove to the school, picked him up, and he's like, don't tell him. And I was like, and they're like, why are you here? And I explained to him. I said, well, whatever. And so I picked him up. Well, he comes walking across the front of the office. He has both his hands in his pockets, holding his jeans out, walking like he rode a horse for like 16 hours and just got off.
Wow.
And he was walking all bow-legged and whatever. Any long story short, he was very angry with me because I told front office why I came to pick him up.
Well, then don't. Whose pepper did he eat?
He ate a habanero pepper that one of his friends dared him to eat.
I gotta tell you, well, thank you for the call, Abby. I'm glad that we got at least one hot pepper story in, because there's a few things here. First of all, the habanero peppers, they've disappointed me, and I was looking for these little these little red Thai peppers. They're hot enough, and I like cutting them up and throwing them into tuna and all that stuff. But there is a those and their the serranos. They're not even spicy, especially when you get them from Whole Foods. Like, they're sweet. Like, what's going on with these? But obviously habanero, I mean, it's known for being hot, so I don't know what the hell they're the orange ones, right? A little bit orangey. I don't know. Coming out is a terrible thing. The pepper coming out is a terrible thing. I'm just saying. That's what we're talking about. But I don't know. When you have to shit that out, there's very little you can do. You can take a big roll of toilet paper, you can saturate it and just kind of slosh it in there and just let it sit there for a second, but it doesn't do anything. Temporary relief, and then you're all wet all over the place, and I don't know. It's not worth it, but sometimes it is. I mean, it's worth it when you're eating it sometimes. Got a little bit of a kick. And sometimes a pepper that's not too hot is a lot hotter on the way out. That's the thing I don't like. You know, it's one thing if I take that first bite and it is just like fire. I'm like, you know what? I'm taking a couple of more of these off, only because I don't want that kind of pain later on. But sometimes you get a mild pepper and it comes out and it just destroys you. So how dare you sandbag me like this? Anyway, let's take a call. 716, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, Frank.
Hello, who's this? Hello? Okay. Let's take a call. Another one. 931, you're on the air.
Hey, I've got a habanero story.
Great, Ray. Give us another one.
So, when I was 14-ish, I was dating a preacher's daughter, and they were having a fundraiser, so I attended. And there was a Hispanic family there. And they had a nice little setup, decorated, and they had habaneros all around the table. And the gentleman said, hey, I'll donate $20 if you eat this pepper. I'm Hispanic, so I didn't think anything of it. I've been eating peppers all my life. But he ripped the shell off of it, and all it was seeds. I started chewing it, and, it's not that bad. I can get through this. About 2 minutes later, it was like I was drugged. Couldn't remember anything.
Whoa.
This was before cell phones. I was so out of it, I couldn't remember my own home number so that they could call my parents.
It took you out like that mentally?
Yes.
And this was nothing but just a habanero pepper. This was not dipped in anything. There was nothing else going on.
Nope, just a habanero pepper.
Wow. Anybody else have so would you consider this it wasn't psychedelic, you weren't seeing things, but you just felt numbed out and you almost had an amnesia effect on you?
Exactly, yes.
Wow.
Everything was slowed down, everything was kind of wavy, I guess maybe like an LSD trip, but not seeing things. There was a sound I was hearing, like a low bass. That was terrible. And it lasted probably 2 hours. The heat intensity probably for an hour, but that feeling about 2 hours.
Wow. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm glad that you called in with this, because now we have a new standard to see if anybody else has had any kind of a mental effect like that after eating habanero. Now, this was on empty stomach. Well, how did you take it?
I can't remember if it was an empty stomach or not. I do remember that there was food there. I don't recall if I had eaten yet.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see what comes back. Thank you for the call.
All right. Have a good one.
There you go. That's wow. Hey, I'm sure a lot of things can happen for downing peppers or anything as powerful as that. But you tend to think that it's going to be more so on the gastrointestinal side of things, and obviously there's the respiratory side of things. We've heard that time and time again. But as far as losing mental clarity and forgetting things that you would never otherwise forget, that is drug-like. Is that all because of the capsaicin, or is it something else? I don't know. Let's take a call from 406. You're on the air. Who's this?
Hello, Frank. It's Monica in Montana.
Hello, Monica. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's fun to hear you in the afternoon.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of nice. It's a little. I feel a little out of place, and of course, most of the audience isn't here. But still, it's work.
It's true, and it's fine. So I just have a couple of thoughts about the whole Obama thing.
Okay.
I'm wondering if it is connected to the Hunter Biden stuff. Because Hunter left his laptop, and people have speculated that maybe he did that on purpose. I know he's high all the time, but he could have left it on purpose. We found Ashley's diary, right, with all this disgusting stuff about her dad and the abuse. Well, Hunter probably partied with Obama. Could they just be laying a foundation? And if Hunter is compelled to testify, will he talk? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if that is where it's leading, then we're still waiting, Monica, for the thing that links both of them together to say, well, here's a guy that is, all that's hopped up on Hunter's favorite drug, or at least we have stories of that. I mean, that's a link, but you know how many people smoke crack in this country?
All times, yeah.
So it's one of those things, and thank you for the call, because I'm going to take a break right now, an intermission. It's one of those things that you just have to, I don't know, that's a big leap. It's a big leap. Not a huge leap, because they're all running in the same circles, and Joe Biden had already been in government for decades, and of course Hunter around him and all that other stuff, and as we said before, Obama didn't come from nowhere. His rise was meteoric for everyday lollipop suckers that are just watching the TV and taking it as, oh, this is the chronicling of the events of our time. But we know everything has an origin story that is largely unpublished, especially when it happens in government. So if there's going to be a link bridging those two characters together, then just keep an eye open and see what happens, because right now I didn't see anything on that. But I think what the caller before was saying about perhaps this has something to do with strange disappearances of people that had affiliations with those Chicago churches and all of the communist pornographers that were hanging out there. But maybe there's something along those lines. Or it might just be Tucker Carlson taking the biggest, most inflammatory stories that he can get his hands on now that he is a lone gun, representing himself in the new media space on Twitter. It could be. It could be. It could be that he's just, going back through time and doing all the stories he was not able to do at Fox News, because obviously you could never expect Fox to do anything like this. So it could be just as simple as that, giving attention where attention was never paid, even if it's however many years late. We'll be right back. Going to take a really quick intermission. When we come back, even more of your calls, your super chats, and some really interesting emails from you. Don't go anywhere.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out to press the like button. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to intermission.
Quite frankly.
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 We all support quite frankly.
Not quite.
Quite frankly.
Let's go, Brandon.
Quite frankly in Roma, Italia.
Quite frankly. You going on Frank's show tonight?
I want to get a Coke. Can I get a Coke?
So everybody watch, quite frankly, with Frank.
How dare you?
All right, we're back. A lot of crazy things going on over here. Like I said, I'll tell you about it one day. It actually has nothing to do with the actual reason why I'm going live at 2 o'clock. That was going to happen one way or another. I do have a family engagement tonight. But there's a lot of other things that have just popped up over the last couple of days, and that were, everybody's all right, and it will be all right. But it is just an unforeseen inconvenience. Another experience, more experience gained. XP. Let me go over to Rumble Rants, because there's quite a few Rumble Rants there today. Who would have known? The afternoon crew, people watching on Rumble, they're very nice givers. Thank you so much for the contributions. Harry Carey, or is that Harry Carl? No, it's Harry Carey. Sorry, the lowercase i's sometimes they blend. Happy early birthday, precious Aurora. Oh, thank you, Harry. Yeah, Aurora's out there running around with the cat right now. Oh, it's all for Aurora. Oh, this is all for Aurora. 925 Wild Jesus. Happy birth month, Aurora. Well, thank you, and she thanks you too. I had to it's take Aurora to work day because, like I said, things are happening, and we just had to be out of the house. Abby Z Mama says, happy birth month, Aurora, for another September baby. Oh, from another September baby. Abby's a September baby. How about that? Stephen Ellis says, about the milk cartons discussed yesterday. As a kid, I wondered why those missing ads were on kids' milk cartons. How's a kid supposed to find a missing kid? Well, they weren't on children's milk cartons per se. They were just on milk cartons, and it would be parents and adults that were going out to buy the groceries. If they put them on the smaller cartons that you would get at school or something like that, then still those have to be purchased by an adult. And it did serve as I think for children it served as more of an example. Yeah, you see a kid's face, you can see that they're about your age, a little younger, a little bit older, and you know, a lot of times when I was younger and I saw stuff like that, I always wanted to be a part of the crew that helped out. I wanted to help people. I wanted to find, you know, you think that you can actually do those things and pull it off as a child. And I guess it does inspire kids to do some stuff, maybe keep an eye out. Does that help the chances of recovery? I don't know. But I think to see another child on a milk carton was a little bit more of a reminder of how dangerous things could be if you talk to strangers or if you run away from home or one thing or another. Just listen to mommy, stay close to home, do things that'll keep you safe. I think that's what it comes down to with as far as the child faces. And then for everybody else, for the adults that are buying milk and seeing it every day, I guess it's just more so like an early Amber Alert. But there's only so many children you can put on the facing of a milk carton, you know? Especially since 1,000 to 2,000 go missing every day, some people are estimating, or more. Which is a horrific thought. Harry Carey again says, I live in Springfield, Illinois, and trust me, Tucker Sinclair interview is soon relevant, or so relevant, after his chef ended up in the fishies. Yeah, or with the fishies. So it's very relevant in Springfield, Illinois. That's what I would say. That's what I thought. Is this about the chef? But if it's about anything other than the liaison, then something has to go there soon. And always remember, Tucker is not the only person on this bandwagon right now. A couple of weeks before this interview was aired was the biographer. 925 Wild G says, yeah, Roach Coach in McAllen, Texas, enchiladas with habanero orange sauce and buttermilk, projectile vomiting. Oh. You see, I've seen that before. I've seen people get sick and the body's just like, this has got to get out of me. But see, those enchiladas with habanero orange sauce plus buttermilk. Eating that alone made you throw up, or was it a combination of anything else? Because otherwise, why ever put that on a menu? Especially if you're going to have somebody throwing up in your restaurant. Harry Carey again says Barack was quite the partier when in Illinois. Oh, Springfield. I guess. Oh, I get it now. I get it. Bowers Opera House, Boone Saloon, rumors galore in these parts. Oh, so we're talking local yokel over here. You've got some local stories. Always seek out the locals. You'll get some interesting stories there. That's how we learned about Stretch and Gretchen Whitmer. That's how we learned how Stretch and Gretchen got her name. Let's see, Harry Carey again is now a monthly supporter. Well, you know, Harry, it's great to have you there. A lot from Harry tonight. Another Rumble rant said, I have no idea if you got my other rants today. Sure hope so. I got them all. I promise you. I take certain segments to go and sweep through all the rants to make sure that we get them in an orderly way. On Foxhole, Uncensored Abe says, did you lose a bet and have to shave your head? She's growing up so fast. ML Frank, the other Abe. What do you mean? Shave my bet and have to lose a bet and have to shave my head? No. I lost a bet with God. That's why I shaved my head. Because that's it. It's the best thing for me to be neat and all that stuff with this. I don't have that much of a strong hairline anymore. I haven't been since after college. I started realizing what my destiny was. That's the bet I lost. It was a bet with God. Boys Block 89, thank you so much. All right. Is there anything else here that I've forgotten? No, I haven't. We're done. Let's get on into. Oh, there's a couple of tips. What'd you say? Come here. What you know what happened to Lila today?
What?
Mommy's with Lila right now, and they have to give her a bath. The doctors have to give Lila a bath. I hope Mommy takes some pictures of it because that's going to look really funny. You know what Lila's going to look like when she's all wet?
What?
She's going to look like a bug. Because Lila is mostly fur. She's not she's all like a stick figure with fur on her. Well, what's that? What?
Yellow thing.
That yellow thing?
Yeah.
That's here. Get a little closer. Those are bubbles. That's wax bubbles inside of the lava lamps.
Yeah, but that looks like jellyfish.
It looks like jellyfish?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about this one? This isn't bubbly yet. What does that red one remind you of?
Jellyfish.
Jellyfish too?
Yeah.
You just got jellyfish on your mind today?
Uh-huh.
You remember when we saw the jellyfish at the aquarium last week, 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to tell people?
Yeah.
What?
Something, but I'm just gonna look at my face.
Okay, stuffy nose. Here, move over a little bit. Daddy's got to get back to work. It'd be a lot easier if I drove an ice cream truck around, right? Yeah, maybe I'll be an ice cream truck driver next year. All right, let's go into our tips on Rockfin now. And then I'm going to read a couple of emails, and then we're going to get you guys calling in again. Here we go. Britt Last says, I grew up watching my dad and stepbrother see who could bring home the hottest hot sauces. The taste tests of these oddball sauces were always entertaining. Dad never cracked, but I watched tough athletes meet their match several times during these testosterone-fueled events. Love you and all your work, Frank. Well, thank you, Britt. You know, I do a lot of taste testing of that, and people have sent me quite a few hot sauces over the years. But I don't know. I'm sure I would meet my match. I can handle hot stuff, and I like spicy stuff, but there are some things, like, I know what some people in the reviews, it comes off as funny. And it is funny. But at the same time, it's funny because it's true. The fact that, what they call it, crunchy pain, I can understand that, where when something gets so hot that there is no semblance of an actual taste that you can describe to anybody. Oh, it's zesty. There's a little bit of, there's a saltiness there. There's a tang, a little bit of sweet, a little bit of sour. There's a mix of this and that, where there's no differentiating anything. The palate can't pick up anything other than sharp, stabbing, knife pain. And I don't get it. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who like that, but what does it add to it? What does it add to what you're eating that it doesn't contribute an actual taste? That you're having a hamburger plus a knife's edge sliding across your tongue. What is that? I understand a little bit of tang, a little bit of spice, but man, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for some of the taste testing at Britt's house over there. Anyway, let's keep going. This is a good weekend episode. Now, here's a little something for you. I think Aurora's singing over there. think she's singing. Aurora, what are you singing? Who are you singing to right now? Nothing?
Singing to Pyretta.
Oh, she's singing to Pyretta? I didn't know that. Okay.
I'm not singing to
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
I'm not singing.
Okay, she's not singing to Pyretta. I'm just kidding. She wasn't found. Anyway, let's go into some of these. Now, listen to these emails, and then we're going to get some more from you. Now, this is just from the week. Here's one from Jay from Sweden. Jay says, Frank, just to give you a heads up with Sweden, I guess this would go under the inside information line kind of a call. The local government building has been flying the Ukraine flag for over a week. No Swedish flag anywhere. Military personnel and government douchebags in non-marked black Volvos and Volkswagen transport vans pass me on my way to work with Rex every day. The de facto think tank for Ukraine is happening here. And I can't read you the rest of this because Jay from Sweden goes on a tirade that would require your children to see a therapist if they heard it. So that's where I'm leaving it. That's a little bit inside information from Sweden. Here's one from Ginger Ale Brit, who says, Frank, I had to chime in after watching The Amazing Show with Jeff Harmon. Last Friday, September 1st, I had the same feeling, a very strong sense of foreboding, dread. I mentioned it to my husband, who never lets much bother him, and he said that he had the same feeling. I don't usually get such a strong sense of it either, and it was very disconcerting. Just wanted to pass that along and keep up the great work. Ginger Ale Brit. Here's another one. This is, hello, Frank. This is from Debbie. I love your show. I've been listening to you since sometime around 2015 and even got my mom and 11-year-old daughter listening. You see? I saved that 11-year-old princess from Jay from Sweden's rant. Thank you, Frank. Listening to your show tonight brought up this story I want to share with you. I moved to Kerrville, Texas, from Los Angeles about a year and a half ago. I have found two very interesting things that in relation to the solar eclipses coming up in October and next April. I'm going to attach a screenshot from the Google Maps that shows the area I'm going to tell you about. The red mark is the point. Oh, you know what? I have that over here. Take a listen to this. Or take a look at this. Here we go. This is what she sent. I'm going to attach a screenshot from Google Maps that shows the area I'm going to tell you about. The red mark is the point of intersection of the two eclipses path, which is in the parking lot of T.J. Moore Lumberyard. Less than a mile away is a full-scale recreation of Stonehenge called Stonehenge 2 that I have circled in yellow. Apparently, the man who created this built it in a nearby town called Hunt. It was gifted to the Hill Country Arts Foundation, where it is now. I know these two things are completely unrelated, but seriously, what are the chances of this super rare event happening right next to Stonehenge 2? It has my spidey senses tingling for sure. Thank you for taking the time to read this, and I can't wait to listen to more of your shows. Love, Debbie. Well, thank you so much for that, Debbie. And yeah, things like this are crazy. Stonehenge 2, right there from the actual point where both of these eclipses join, and then the 7 Salems in both directions with both eclipses. 7, it passes through 7 Salems. Anyway, thank you for that, Debbie. A lot of interesting things there. Now, here's another one. This is an email that I received from Mike. Mike the Quaker. Does a lot of astro charts for me there too. And he got in touch with me. He said, Frank, I'm sorry I missed your program. This is a little bit bleak. I'm sorry I missed your program with astrologer Harmon, who seems like a very nice man. However, his explanations in the past were too technical for a general audience, and he is too optimistic. To think that he said that we're going to come out of this in one way or another, but that it's going to be very rough and very violent. To think that is too optimistic off the bat was just like, oh, God. Should a doctor mislead a terminal patient or help him prepare for the end? That's what he asked with this. Several years ago, I sent you this forecast based on the charts for July 4th, 1776, and the 1784 Treaty of Paris. The final signing date recognized sovereignty and borders. Here's the quote. The full extent will not become known until March of 2022. By that time, it will be all out in the open, and no one can do anything about it. March 22 equaled Ukraine war escalation by CIA and illegal proxy war masking international crime networks. Quote, by June 2023, the facade of the current system will be destroyed and replaced. And these things happened in June of 2023. Trump charged illegally. Attorney General in Texas impeached based on fraudulent evidence from a wide group of government employee conspirators. We were actually watching some of that incredible testimony on Dark to Light this morning. You should definitely go check out the morning show. Maybe I'll have Abe and Cody replay that tonight after the 7 o'clock re-airs on quitefrankly.tv. And then we have the gender war escalated by government on broad multi-state front and debt ceiling eliminated illegally. That was in June of 23. History will someday look back on these days as pivotal events marking the death of the U.S. legal system. There is no awakening, no new age, no bringing back a constitution that never worked properly in the first place. Aurora, please, just keep it down a little bit, please. There will be accountability for the gruesome wars and genocides perpetrated by the Zionist Freemason cabal post-World War II, killing millions in an international reign of terror in Vietnam, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Palestine, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Colombia, and Ukraine. Now, I asked him if there's no awakening, no new age, where does the accountability for the cabal even come from? And he started getting a little bit more prophetic, a little bit more biblical about it. And said, okay, well, that's an interesting point of view. And of course, we are knocking on the door of September 2023 right now. He actually said, for your information, Vedic astrology warns that September 23 to September 24 of 2023 as the most adverse for the U.S. in over 300 years, which is great because those are a couple of days that I'll be out of town. If the world ends and I'm not home with my family, I'm going to be very upset. So now I'm just like, great. Anyway, there is that. I want to throw that out into the open for you. We can take some more calls. And I also have some other satanic panic stories that I want to be able to read out to see if we can get any of those. So 914-200-0269. Plenty of things you can talk about. Any kind of comments for the rest of the week. We've got these hot pepper stories. If you've ever taken the one chip challenge, there is the can opposites attract question. There is the Obama expose, and anything else that you think would be a really good preview of what's coming up in the next week. Let's take a call from area code 540. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it's all right.
Good. Sal here from Queens, New York, man.
What's going on, Sal? Welcome back. Or welcome on.
Well, yeah. Well, no, welcome back.
Okay.
Thank you. I want to talk about a little bit of, you were talking about the Obama situation. I don't really think, honestly, that it has anything to tie to anything. What I think it is basically like, what do they call it? Like Zelensky's rules for radicals. Let's basically ridicule the man until he feels like, I guess what the rule that I'm talking about, it says ridicule is a man's most potent weapon. There's no defense. It is almost impossible to counteract ridicule. Also, it infiltrates the opposition who then react to your advantage. So I think it's just basically like a humility thing, like you know what I mean? Like, let's just keep piling on because I feel like that's kind of been the counterattack on Trump, right? Let's humiliate him. Let's keep, or anybody on the Republican side or what have you. They just keep, it's like a game of I'm trying to think of what.
So wait. So Sal, let me ask you this: Are you coming from the perspective? Are you coming from the angle that Tucker Carlson is carrying water for the cabal by putting Obama through some kind of a humiliation ritual that was maybe part of the price that had to be paid for his success and his status that he was given, or is this a almost like a reversed Alinsky counterattack by Tucker in like almost like retribution for.
Right. I think a little bit of both, actually, because I think at a certain point, I think one side, or even Tucker, we know he's tied into a lot. I mean, his dad was tied into a lot, and I think he understands the way this information could be seen or perceived. I think at a certain point, I think people wouldn't care because it's been how many years, but to ridicule and to shame, I think it's just at this point, I think it's like a defense mechanism. Like I said, I don't think there's any real tie to. I mean, it may be true, and I believe it's true. Because I mean, like some of the people on your show were talking about, local yokels, they know the most, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I think at this point they're just trying to humiliate the guy. I think because he is tied, he is like the god of the Democrats, so to speak. Like he's the high point. Now the funny thing is, like you were talking about, this ridicule and this shame to the left almost seems like it's like a badge of honor. So now he's gay and a crackhead, so let's lift him up. So it's kind of like
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work.
Listen, I'll put it this way. If Joe Scarborough can survive as at that time a Republican, a very, very sketchy situation in which one of his aides died in his office through blunt force trauma, looking very, very weird.
Yep.
This is a Republican with something like that going on, and he's doing just fine, and he's on the air on MSNBC, and he has his daughter of Satan a wife by his side. If that is something that never got really confronted or anything like that, or any of those burning questions answered in a sufficient way, then how would Barack Obama really be treated in some kind of a way for just a little bit of recreational drug use and being gay, which is like having a superpower these days? So,
right.
That's why I just wondered if this was just setting the stage for something else, or I also just have to put it out there again, it could just be a cut loose and independently operating Tucker Carlson digging back through stories that he always wanted to talk about and was never able to.
But I mean, I have an issue with that because I mean, the guy had Donald Trump on a week ago or however long ago, and he'd asked him no pressing questions. It was all a joke, and now it almost seems like he's going into like not satirical. What's the word I'm looking for? Just like it's fluff. It's all fluff to me. Like I guess in retrospect, I don't really care. But you kind of want to hold people to the fire. But this isn't a fire. This is nothing. This is just it's a nothing burger.
I'm with you.
And maybe because the guy who passed on Obama's property, the chef, I know I had a buddy who was like, well, maybe that guy was gay, and I'm like, but at this point with 2023, nobody cares if you're gay.
Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't care.
I mean, Ed Buck had a little bit of more of an issue there because he had been responsible for the death of more than one prostitute by way of drugs and all that stuff. But this is something, I don't know. It's way too isolated. It's hard to tie it all together. And I agree with you on the fluff. When I was watching that conversation between Tucker and Donald Trump, that was on the night of the kiddie pool debates that were going on. Honey, just put that down right there.
Right.
Put that down right there. That's where it's supposed to go. Right there. There you go. That night, it was just like, okay, I'm more interested in what Tucker Carlson is going to ask Trump than I am about all these losers on the other stage. And hey, the next day I came over here and I was talking about all the things that fell short for me. And it's not just circular answers and circular logic by Trump. It's also I think weak setups by Tucker and things like that.
Right, and a week later, he even said he shouldn't be running. Well, then why'd you have the man on? Like, why did you even promote him if you think a week later that the guy's not fit to run?
Yeah.
It's baffling.
Right. Well, listen, everybody, like I said, he is his own network now. So you land an interview with Donald Trump that is going to be very well watched. You're going to be in competition and beating anybody that is live with any event on TV that night. So I guess you take it. I guess you take it, and you just play to the audience. That's definitely going on, no doubt. All right, thanks for the call, man.
I appreciate you, man.
All right, it's good to hear from you. All righty, let's go. We're going to take a couple more calls, and then we might skedaddle a couple of minutes early. Just a few minutes early, because there's other things that can be done. 914-200-0269. There's also, I'm going to throw it up there too, Inside Information Hotline. You can go and you can give us something really important that nobody else knows, that you have gotten from an exclusive source, and that the world needs to know quick. That is 914-369-1236. 914-369-1236. But everything else, 914-200-0269. All right, let's take another call. That's from 716. You're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Frank, this is John from Buffalo.
John, great to have you on. What's going on up there?
Oh, not much. Years ago, I sent you a couple of Little League books, so I've been listening
Yes.
at least 2015.
Oh, yes.
Hopefully somebody got a chance to read them and enjoy them.
Yes. No,
if not you, but I would just paying it forward if you did it that way.
John, I read through them. I really, really enjoyed them, and only recently I passed them on to a couple of former players of mine who are now old enough and coaching and all that other stuff. And I thought that they would get a lot out of it. That was in my my baseball stack of books, and I was actually just thinking. I was holding them in my hand not too long ago. I really appreciate that gift all those years ago. So thank you again for that.
I was just hoping you would love the one book where the guy shot out the light so another inning could play and the game could finish.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that part?
Yeah. Well, no, that part I don't. I don't remember. We're talking about. I read through them. I don't know, when you sent them to me at least 3 years ago. So
yeah, it's longer than that.
It's longer than that. Yeah.
Anyhow, I've been listening for a long time. I do deliveries. I never really listen live. I listen during the day, making my deliveries. And I love what you do. I was listening to to Jay Dyer today when I made a trip from Buffalo to Rochester, and you were talking about how he's going to be your guest for The Godfather, which I've read twice. And I just got a thought on a book for 2024.
Okay, what is it?
Something a little bit humorous and horrific at the same time. Catch 22.
Catch 22. Who wrote it?
Joseph Heller.
Okay, I'm gonna write.
It was required reading when I was in high school 40 plus years ago.
It sounds familiar, to be honest. But I'm going to write it down, Catch 22, and I'm going to look into it. You know, there's a couple of things that I had for 2024 already. I was thinking about, there's this book called Lucifer's Hammer. It's a fiction. It's fiction, but it was sent to me a while ago, and I've always wanted to read through it. And then I heard an episode of the author of Lucifer's Hammer interviewed on Coast to Coast back in the day, and I said, you know what? I think this would be a great book for 24. The other thing I was thinking, John, about for 2024, maybe around the springtime read, around March, if we did a March read again, that will lead us into Easter. I was thinking maybe we take up the classic novel, The Robe. And after reading The Robe, because I actually have like almost like a first edition print of it. It was my grandfather's. My father's father. I have it on my shelf at home. I don't know if I would actually read that because I don't want to. It's so fragile at this point. But maybe I would buy a new one so I can mark up and all that. We can read through that, and then we can actually all do a group viewing of the film, which I just watched The Robe for the first time, sitting down from start to finish as an adult this past Easter, because we had it as one of the films that I picked out for our Easter programming on QuiteFrankly.tv, and I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really great, so it makes me want to read the book. I hope it's a good pick, but I already have a couple ideas for 24, but Catch 22, I'll write it down. Thanks for the call, John.
Yeah, thanks for taking it. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. There you go, John from Buffalo. Catch 22. What do you think about that? What do you think about those two picks so far? Lucifer's Hammer and The Robe. So, I'm always thinking about it, because this has been such a great year for reading. And I'm really looking forward to doing Mario Puzo in October. No doubt. All right, 914-200-0269. I'm going to take a little bit of a rip through all of the Super Chats again. Make sure I am on the right page. And we're coming up on the end here. Last one I have here. Oh, that is all from Harry Carey. So we're good on that end. Thank you to Jesse81138 and Captain Flint for some tips on pill.net. No messages, but I can feel the love. I think to end, what we can do is a couple more of these Satanic Panic stories, because it just has to do with this week's episodes and the conversations we had. So this was a thread I was reading from. What stories do you have of the Satanic Panic? And the first one was really interesting, because this is a story. I'm going to reread this. It's not too long ago. Listen to this one. When I wanted to give this Dungeons and Dragons thing a try in the mid-'80s, my mom shut it right down. My stepfather spewed some garbage about satanic stuff like he did about backmasking, and that was it. A few years later, I started with MERP, no problem. Dungeons and Dragons, etc. It wasn't a problem anymore after all the hysteria had died down. Eventually, I asked my mother what the deal was, and she said that it was about a custody dispute with my dad, his biological dad. Her lawyer, his mother's lawyer at the time, had advised her to keep him away from Dungeons and Dragons because it can get her declared an unfit parent. So those were a little bit of the legal ramifications of what was going on at the time with the Satanic Panic, which of course was not all hysteria. A lot of legitimate things should have been looked into. We are living in a time right now that confirms that there was more than enough to be concerned about in the 80s, which probably started manifesting somewhere in the 60s. Here's another one for you. This is from Finn Cullen. Said, living in the UK, we heard of the Satanic Panic but didn't really experience it. The general reaction among the players I knew back then was stunned belief and a fair amount of unkind stereotyping, I'm afraid, that a 20th century Western country could still have enough Muppets in it for that to be a thing. Alas, we've all learned over the intervening years that it is not so rare in my idealistic teenage friends and that I thought. Yeah, so that it's not such a rare thing. Right. I don't know if that is the ability for people to be swept up in hysteria, or is it rare that satanic enterprises are really at the don't scratch are really at the behind the helm of a lot of what we're living through right now. Here's another one. While I've had a lot of brushes with the panic, I've had one memory about it that was clearer than any other. Around the time I was in middle school, I really wanted to get a PlayStation copy of Diablo. Folks can figure out my age from that statement alone if they desire. My mother didn't just say no, but she gave me that dagger-eyed, teeth-clenched, how dare you even suggest such a thing look that every kid with unconventional desires is familiar with. A friend of mine had the PC version, and I really wanted to finish the story I'd seen him start. The story has a happy ending, at least. Because the woman working at the Walmart's electronics section that day had overheard this conversation, she slid right into it. She talked to my mom, telling her about how she loved playing this game with her daughter, who was about my age, that the game had serious replay value, and that you had all kinds of heroes that you can choose to fight the lords of hell. I was standing there the whole time, practically holding my breath as I watched my mom's mind slowly change, deciding that she'd let me play the game after all. It wasn't the last time my mother's bizarre beliefs about corrupting power of video games, heavy metal, and Dungeons and Dragons would manifest, but it was one of the clearest examples of those beliefs breaching the surface and then disappearing beneath waves of because the well-reasoned statements of a total stranger. That's an interesting perspective there too. And honestly, heavy metal, I don't know. I still listen to heavy metal. I still listen to music that, if you listen to the lyrics, you know, they don't get me. There's something about the music, the composition, and even sometimes when they go into really dark lyrics or anything like that, I may have less warm feelings toward them, or they may pump me up for less reasons than they used to, or anything like that. But heavy metal never wanted me to hurt myself. I think if you got issues, anything's good. I once watched it was back in the day, maybe the late 90s. It was a television show that was talking about crazed fans and things like that. and people with mental issues that, you know, went above and beyond to try to get at somebody or a celebrity or something. And I watched this crazy monster of a guy kill himself over Bjork. Okay? Like listening to Bjork all the time and sending her letters and stalking however he can. And he made this at-home video, this video log of, you know, I don't know, whatever the hell he's working through as he's working up to killing himself. And the day that he killed himself, he painted his head like it looked like Darth Maul. It was like red and black face paint, and all his whole head. He's preparing himself, and then you know, pumps himself up, and then blows his head off. All right, he wasn't listening to Black Sabbath. He was listening to Bjork. So I've had heavy metal pull me out of depressions and funks and all that stuff, and despite listening to all of it, I'm still Christian. I'm still reverting back to that faith and learning about it and all that stuff. So I'm not one to really. I can see how some things, video games can desensitize some stuff, but I don't know. I really don't. Being on the internet is more of a problem in general, and the things that are on there and the trends that are catching on than most video games. I know there are some scary ones that's like living through a horror film, but anyway, that's just some of my thoughts there. Satanic panic. Yeah, the overcorrections were probably in the video games and the board games, and I mean, Ouija boards is something else altogether. You say, well, what about Ouija boards? Is that really a board game, or is it a tool? You know, playing Monopoly is you sit down, you play Monopoly for the sake of playing Monopoly. The board is to allow you play Monopoly. It's not a game dipping into the spirit world and trying to get answers from people who are no longer here, or, you know, disembodied spirits of any kind. But I'll be looking forward to all of your comments and your thoughts. Thank you for hanging out with me on this afternoon broadcast on this Friday, September 8th. Next week is going to be filled with a lot of fun. A lot of fun, as this one just went by in a flash. On Monday, it's September 11th, so I don't know how we're going to commemorate that, but we'll do something interesting, I'm sure. And then we have September 12th, a little bit more wiggle room there. We have Frank and Chrissy. Chrissy Mayer is coming into the show on the 13th. On September 14th, it's Aurora's birthday. Right, Aurora? Right. So I hope you're all here with me next week. And in the meantime, please become a sponsor of the show. It's going to continue to fan out and lift everything up that we're working on here, on screen and behind the scenes. So I can't wait for you to see what I got going on at the studio at home, how that is going to be able to enhance things and give me more options to create more, and the atmosphere there. It's getting there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for everything, and I will talk to you soon. Let me make sure I didn't miss any other super chats. I think we're all good. Aurora, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
No.
You don't want to say goodbye?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't know.
What? Say bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Look, I turn the lights on.
You turn the lights on? You're turning it all different colors. Oh, there's purple. Oh, there's blue. And now it's turning purple. Now it's turning something else. All right. Well, let's get ready. We got to go find Mommy, see how she's doing. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. Thank you so much for the afternoon liaison. And we will be back on Monday. Goodbye and take care.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience, and now our super chatter, starting with 925 Wild G, Abby Z Mama, Stephen Ellis, Harry Carey, a whole bunch of Harry Carey. Thank you so much. Thank you. And over on, quite frankly, superchat.com, Katie, Sky, Stickman, and Shotzi. You've all been really nice to me. Thank you, Britt Last on Rockfin. And to all of my friends, Uncensored, Abe, Boys Block, Jesse, and Captain Flint on Foxhole. We will see you guys on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. And good night. Quite frankly.